All right, let's get into this. We're looking at a pretty wild story today, one that kicks off in a mythical lost city, with dragons and somehow ends up in the world of corporate software development. Yeah, it's this incredible mix of a grand cosmic myth and a surprisingly modern, very human life story.
So the whole thing starts with this just mind-bending idea from the lost city of Shambhala. The book says that way back when, dragons and humans lived in such perfect harmony that they basically merged with the quantum field. You could call it the energy of everything. They became the sun, the moon, the stars, literally the universe itself. And here is where it gets really interesting. The story doesn't just stop there in the cosmos. See, out of love for humanity, millions of these enlightened beings, dragons included, volunteered to be reborn here on Earth. So the big question, the one that really frames this whole explainer, is what if that ancient myth is the key to understanding a very real, very modern human journey?
Okay, so first, let's unpack the mythology behind this whole thing. We're calling it a grand cosmic experiment. So the origin story has a few key parts. First, you've got this lost city, this place of perfect harmony. Then, the people there don't die, they ascend. They become part of the very fabric of the universe. But then, and this is the crucial part, they decide to come back. Why? Out of pure compassion. Their mission was to be born as regular humans, forget who they really were, and just help humanity evolve, to help us move from a mindset of me to a state of we. So now we're going to see how this massive cosmic myth connects to one person's actual life. Section 2, A Stranger in a Strange Land. His journey starts in a place that honestly sounds like science fiction. His dad and grandpa were inventors, and he grew up in this house of the future where you could clap to turn on the lights. His mom could watch him playing in the yard on a video camera. And this was back in the 1950s. So this childhood, totally surrounded by invention, really set him up to feel, well, different.
And he captures that feeling perfectly with this quote. It directly connects his own personal experience of being an outsider right back to that Shambhala myth. You can almost hear it, right? It's the voice of a soul that remembers a world of perfect harmony, trying to figure out our kind of chaotic one. So this deep feeling of being an outsider, it really pushes him. As a teenager, he leaves it all behind to go searching for answers. Which brings us to Section 3, the journey to India. And the thing that kicked this whole spiritual quest off was a moment of pure crisis. He's surfing in France, gets caught in these huge, 15-foot waves and a rip current that's just dragging him straight towards a rock jetty. His surfboard's gone, he's going under, his life is absolutely on the line. And in that moment of total desperation, he just surrenders. He calls out. He says he closed his eyes, saw this incredible, brilliant light, and the very next thing he knows, he's safe on the shore. Now for him, this wasn't just a lucky break. It was proof. It was the sign he needed, and it sent him straight to India. And in India, he found what he was searching for. Not just a belief, but a direct, real experience. Section 4, Opening the Inner Door. The book says he was given these 4 specific techniques. They call them the keys. And these weren't just abstract ideas. They were practical, hands-on methods to actually see a brilliant light inside yourself, to hear these subtle energy frequencies he calls inner music, to taste a divine nectar, and to connect with what he calls the Word of God, that fundamental energy that creates everything. Okay, so you have this profound, life-changing awakening. What happens next? Do you go live in a cave? Well, not exactly. Section 5 explores this challenge of being, stardust in the suburbs. Life just kept going. He still had to deal with jobs, family, paying bills, all while carrying around these unbelievable inner experiences. And this is where you get this amazing contrast between the mystical and the totally, completely mundane. Because on the one hand, his life was still full of these extraordinary, almost unbelievable events. He talks about things like a conscious out-of-body trip to a giant spaceship, a powerful Kundalini energy rush that felt like a cobra rising up his spine, and even coming face-to-face with an alien being while he was working as a computer programmer for the Navy. But then, on the other hand, you look at this. His actual professional life? It was totally grounded. He spent decades as a software engineer and web developer for huge companies like Charles Schwab and government contractors like Booz Allen Hamilton. I mean, he was building financial software and GIS mapping tools. And yeah, that totally grounded career, it was no walk in the park. He points out he was laid off 5 times just since 2009. So this isn't a story about someone who checked out of society. It's about a cosmic soul trying to navigate corporate layoffs.
So what's the point of all this? What's the takeaway from this journey with dragons and aliens and job searches? Well, all these different pieces, the myth, the career, the struggles, they all circle back to one core idea in our final section, from me to we. And this is really the main point. The author isn't really asking us to believe in actual literal dragons. He's using that whole story as a powerful metaphor. Shambhala represents where humanity is heading, a huge shift away from a consciousness of separation, of conflict, of me first, and toward one of unity, harmony, and this deep understanding that we are all in this together. So after all the cosmic adventures, the spiritual deep dives, and the real-world career challenges, the author boils his entire life's lesson down to one incredibly simple, powerful, and actionable message.
That's it? After everything, it's just be kind. He writes that kindness is the hardest thing for us to master, but that it's the divine spark, that piece of the quantum field that can actually solve all the world's problems. It's how you put the whole from me to we idea into practice every single day.
So the book kind of ends by turning that central metaphor right back around on us, the readers. If we really are all reborn souls from that place of harmony, and we're here to help build a better world, then every single one of us is a crucial piece of that puzzle. So it leaves you with this really powerful question to think about. What does your piece of the puzzle look like? What unique part are you here to play?